All right, hello, I'm Brian, and this is AAMI News and Conversation. We're here at day one of AAMI NEXUS 2024, and I'm here with Molly Story, who just finished two back-to-back sessions, touching a little bit on combination products, but the latter session was specifically human factors on combination products. So, Molly, why don't you first introduce who you are, and then we'll dive into that.
Okay, I'm Molly Story. I have a company I call Human Spectrum Design, and I am based in California.
Fantastic. So Human Spectrum Design focused on human factors, I'm guessing.
Correct.
Right. And what is human factors? Elevator pitch.
Human factors is all about the interaction and the relationship between people and the things that they use, the environments they work in, the jobs they do. It's all about the way that, in this case, for AAMI, users use medical devices. So we're concerned with the user interface and making sure that users can use products well.
Excellent. So the session that we just walked out of was called Human Factors for Combination Products. AAMI's membership and our viewers are very familiar with combination products, but always as this kind of enigmatic, complex topic. Is it as complex for the human factors side of it?
I am not familiar with that many combination products. The combination products that I work on are typically pen injectors, auto injectors, pre-filled syringes, those kinds of things. The primary challenge in combination products that doesn't exist for most medical devices is that these are products that go home with patients and are used by patients independently at home.
So no clinician oversight.
No clinician oversight. They're not always trained. That even if they are trained, maybe they're not listening when they were trained. They've just been told they have this scary disease and they have to inject themselves with a needle all the time. They're not really ready to be trained. So it's a challenging environment because the users could be anybody.
Yeah.
Very diverse population. And they come with very different expectations, and so it's a real challenge for human factors, in fact, to design something that anybody can use correctly with minimal or no training and get the medical benefit. If you've got a fancy medical device like an anesthesiology machine, you've got trained professionals who've been using this for a long time. They're pretty similar to one another. And so you don't need to talk to too many people to make sure that your device works for them. But with a combination product that goes home, we're talking to patients who may be adults, they may be adolescents, they may have used needles before, they may have never seen one before, they may be needle phobic, they may be caregivers, they may be a spouse, excuse me, or a parent of a child, as well as clinicians. The clinicians are the easy part because they do this all the time. So combination products can be much more challenging than you think, not because of the complexity of the device, but because of the huge diversity of users.
Now, I'm going to sell myself out a little bit here. I have asthma, and when I use my Preventol inhaler, I always worry that I'm using it wrong. But at least I know, okay, that little thumb ridge there, that's where my thumb goes. I'm supposed to push down here because there's an arrow that says go down. Is that an example of human factors at work?
Yes, that's exactly it. The shape of the lever, the size of the lever, the location of the lever, the color of the lever, the fact that there is an arrow at all.
Yeah.
Is it actually the right shape, the right size, the location, the right color? Can you see it? Is it embossed? Is it printed? All of those things are things we worry about and care about because they can all affect the way that users use the product and whether or not they use it correctly. And especially if they haven't been trained, whether they can do that first time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's exactly it. That's what we worry about.
So your session today, what was it touching on specifically that you felt the people who were attending AAMI NEXUS needed to know about?
For the most part, the human factors processes are identical to the same human factors processes for anything else. But a couple of differences, again, the user populations are much more diverse. There are many more types of users, and so it requires additional testing that other devices don't need. It goes home where the conditions may not always be clean. The fact that you typically include all of the tasks of use because the use is pretty simple. And sometimes the harms associated with using a device incorrectly are not associated with the device itself, but with the drug.
Oh.
So the drug itself introduces a different kind of harm than in some other devices where the device itself can cause harm.
Does that then change who the stakeholders are who need to know about this, or who the human factors experts need to be speaking with?
Well, again, we've got the adults, the adolescents, the caregivers.
Right.
Those are all the different things in addition to clinicians. If you have a medical device that lives in the hospital, like the anesthesiology machine, excuse me, you only need to talk to potentially two user groups as I think about it. The anesthesiologists who use the device, and then the biomedical engineers who maintain the device. It would be useful, and I'm not sure all companies do, but to talk to the people who actually have to replace the components and all of that. It needs to be repairable as well as usable. So that's another type of interaction. With combination products, we typically often dispose of them.
Right.
Although if it's something like a pen injector that has refillable cartridges, you would need to study also the replacement of the cartridge. So there are some types of combination products where there are additional tasks that you would need to assess, but it would still be the same user groups.
So lots of moving parts to keep track of. That always tells me, okay, this is a good place where standards can step in. And as far as I understand it, you are a co-chair for an AAMI Standards working group. Which group is that, and what are you working on?
The Human Factors Engineering Committee, I've been co-chair of with Mary Beth Privatera for a long time. And we are currently in the final stages of revising HE 75 2009. It will come out in 2024. We are determined. We are very close to the end. And the committee's been completely occupied with that. But in the meantime, we've generated a list of 5 or 6 TIRs we're ready to write.
No kidding. That's a lot.
Because there are topics that might have made it into HE 75, but we're not going to add anything more than we already have at this point.
Yeah.
But there are new topics like artificial intelligence that need to be covered and definitely have human factors aspects to them that we need to be providing some information about. So the committee is eager to move on, both to be done with HE 75, but also to get onto some of these other interesting topics.
And to clarify here, as you mentioned to me that the revision of HE 75 is including for the first time ever combination products as a factor to consider.
Yeah, the original 2009 version of HE 75 had 25 chapters. We've added 2 additional chapters, one on integrated systems, but the last chapter, which is 27, is specifically on combination products. And CEDAR, the Center for Drugs and Evaluation and Research, was actively engaged in writing that section. So it is something that the FDA will recognize. So we believe that's a nice contribution to the field to be able to provide that, to add that to HE 75 and have that information in the world.
Absolutely. So obviously it's being driven by the general good that is the spread of this kind of information, but is there anything else necessitating it? Are there more combination products out there than there used to be? Anything like that?
There are more combination products, and I think one of the things I've seen is insulin pens have been out for a while. That was I think the first big leap in combination products was going from a syringe, a vial and syringe, to a pre-filled syringe, to a pen. Actually, I think they went from vial to syringe directly to the insulin pen, which is much more convenient than trying to fill a syringe from a vial. And then the next generation was going from a vial and syringe to a pre-filled syringe, and then taking that same pre-filled syringe, taking off the flanges, and putting it inside a plastic body and calling it an auto-injector, putting a spring on the back end. Auto-injectors contain pre-filled syringes.
No kidding.
It is a pre-filled syringe with a spring.
I always thought it was a little capsule or something.
No, it's a pre-filled syringe. It's the same pre-filled syringe without the finger flanges.
Oh, that's wild. So it's just pushing it down for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just a convenience, but it certainly is, again, easier for the patient to deliver at home.
Absolutely.
They also don't have to even see the needle
Right.
with an auto-injector. So more and more things are coming out in auto-injectors, and the first auto-injectors, frankly, were not very good, but over time they're getting better and better. So that's been a definite evolution, and I think with the increasing of people, medical devices going home, people self-injecting at home, and this new technology, if you will, of putting a plastic body around that pre-filled syringe, you're getting more combination products just as a convenience.
So, it sounds like such a simple solution, but I could see how it removes so many factors that could lead to risk and other things like that.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, Molly, this has been a really fascinating talk. I had a great time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of neXus. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much.
All right,
Appreciate
thank
it,
you.
Brian.